Today is September the 9th, and this is part 17 of our study of the ministry of Jesus. Now, Jesus had been down for the Passover to Jerusalem, and there he cleansed the temple, and he saw Nicodemus, and then coming back up through Samaria, he saw the woman at the well at the city of Sychar and spent 2 days there. And then he traveled on up into Galilee, back to the city where he had turned the water into wine, Cana of Galilee. So now let's change places. I'm gonna tell you the story this morning, and I'm filling in some blank spots that are my opinion. So this is my story. Over at Capernaum, which is at the north end of the Sea of Galilee, there was the Bible calls him a nobleman. That means that he was part of the court of the ruling, well, he wasn't a king, but he was Herod Antipas that ruled that part, and this man had to be part of his court. What he did, we don't know, but he had called a nobleman. All right, he had a son that was sick, about to die. So he heard of Jesus and that he was over in Cana. And so he made a trip over there and found Jesus. I think he started that in the morning and walked over there. And about 1 o'clock he found Jesus. And he told Jesus, come go with me. My son is about to die. And Jesus said something then. He said, except you see signs and wonders, you won't believe. Now then, in the King James, personal pronouns that begin with a T, thee and thou, are singular, talking to one person. Personal pronouns in the King James that begin with a Y, ye and you, are plural, talking to more than one. And in this case, Jesus said to them, ye. That's more than one. He talked to the people. He was not talking to the man. He was talking to the people. And it says, except you see signs and miracles, you're not going to believe. Then the man said to Jesus again, now, come on, let's go, because my son's about to die. And Jesus just simply said, your son's going to live. Go on home. Go back. And the man believed him. I'm going to fill in some now, and I'll tell you why in a minute as we go along. This man had spent the morning getting to Jesus and found him at 1 o'clock, and I just checked, and from where they think Cana was to Capernaum was about 16 and a half miles. If he had left at 1 o'clock, he could have made it home by sundown. But he didn't. It was the next day when he was going home. And here's what I think happened. I think he was exhausted. As he was coming, he was worried, but now Jesus said everything's going to be okay, and he believed Jesus. And I think he stopped and stayed in the inn, had something to eat, had a good night's rest, and then early the next morning he started out again. Then on the other end in Capernaum, his servants saw that he didn't show up in the evening any time, so they were worried. So early the next morning, they start out and they meet. The nobleman and the servants meet on the road, and he asked them, how's my son? And they said, your son lives. And then he said, what time did he get better? And they said, at 1 o'clock. Yesterday. 1 o'clock yesterday. And the man knew that that was the time that Jesus said, your son's going to live, go on home. So that tells us that this man completely trusted Jesus. He believed Jesus. He didn't see any signs or wonders. He just believed Jesus. Now the boy, they said the fever left him at that time. When Jesus performed miracles, it was instantaneous and it was complete. He didn't just get better and better. In the next few days, he was able to get up out of bed and then he got well. No, he was instantly healed. The fever left him. Now then, at the last verse in chapter 4, and that's where we are, John chapter 4, the last verse in this says, this is again the second miracle that Jesus did when he came out of Judea into Galilee. Now, this is not the second miracle that Jesus did, because down in Jerusalem, remember that Nicodemus said, I believe your teacher come from God, because no man can do the miracles that you do except God be with him. So evidently Jesus did some miracles down in Jerusalem. Well, what's this about? This says in Galilee. This was the second miracle that he did in Galilee, and he did it after he came out of Judea. So this is the second miracle in Galilee, and that's where most of Jesus' ministry is going to be spent, is in Galilee. So what can we learn from this beautiful story today? Here's what I think it is. When God says something, just believe him, like this man did. He didn't require signs and wonders or anything spectacular. Matter of fact, Jesus was pretty short. Your son's going to live, going home. Period. That's it. He believed him. When God says something, just believe him. Just act on what God says. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a good day today.